Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that is undisputed in its magnificence. AJ's rolling his eyes once again, because I'm not allowed to make dad jokes.
No.
I'm Melanie Gibson, your co-host, and I'm on my second glass of Malbec to keep this interesting.
Sherry said my name again. So.
Oh my god, just introduce yourself.
Never. I have no need.
Okay, fine, this is the illustrious AJ Wall.
I'm the... what's that? Never mind. I'm not going to try and make a reference.
Okay, so what are we talking about today, AJ Wall?
Stop saying my name. Undisputed. Not my whole name. It's weird. Undisputed.
Undisputed, not anything with Boyka. It's the first in the quartet.
This is probably the
movies.
one that people might have actually heard of. Because I don't know. The other ones are kind of like blockbuster martial arts movies, you know?
But Boyka is so iconic, at least.
Not like blockbuster, like everyone's seen it. Just blockbuster, like you went to Blockbuster on a Friday and you got your one new movie and you went to the martial arts section and you got your one, like, niche movie. That's what kind of film the other ones are.
Okay, so would this one seem like a blockbuster?
No.
It wasn't. The budget, we looked it up, the budget was about $15 million and it netted about $15 million. So, you break even at least. You can pay the caterer.
Yeah.
All right.
So, okay, this one was a little weird because we only watched it to complete the set. Because we really like 2 and 3, and 4's fun.
It's a Boyka fan fiction.
Boyka's the shit. But so then we saw this on HBO Max. We're like, oh, okay, well, we've got to watch this.
Yeah.
And like 5 minutes into it, we're like, this is ridiculous. Okay, we're going to take notes.
But it's not really ridiculous in a fun way. It's just like...
It is at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's going to be like way over the top, and it kind of is, but not enough to be good the whole way.
Yeah, so that's why I got my Malbec with me, to keep it interesting. So this movie was released in 2002 and stars Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames. You'd think that would be promising, but... okay, let's talk about it and see if it's worth recommending to our martial arts friends. Yeah.
Melanie wants a break, so I guess I'm going to try to go through the plot.
I'm going to jump in, though. It gives me time to drink my wine.
So the opening, which is why we were like, okay, we're doing a podcast on this, is there's a prison fight in a cage, like a legit cage, not a MMA four-sided
It's a cage within a cage with barbed wire on top for some reason inside a prison.
Which is too tall for people to climb out of anyway, and they're not... Anyway, it's just for looks.
Monroe comes out of Pepperson with a nice left hand. And another...
But they're... throughout this whole scene, we get set up. This has a commentary. This has a ref... Like a legit ref in a soccer outfit, like that bright white and black soccer outfit ref.
Like a referee from a Yeah, that's right. That's not how boxing referees dress.
No, and he's played by that guy that's in everything.
Michael Rooker, who plays Mr. Merker, the main guard. We've been on like this accidental Michael Rooker kick where he's in everything. We watched Mallrats and The Suicide Squad in the same week, and he was in both of them. So good for him for having a long career.
And there's been other movies
other
like
things
it,
where
but
he
we
just
just keep
up.
saying, look, there he is.
That's that guy.
So anyway, so he's reffing this match that is not in a ring. It's just inside the cage, and it's started beforehand or during the break. So we have a round. It's probably like however many rounds in, and then we have a break, and the hip hop cheerleaders come out
for your entertainment pleasure while we get ready for the main event. Give it up for the cut.
It's like the halftime show, and it's these 4 guys who are rappers, and that's their hobby, that's their thing, and they come out, and no one has a microphone except the commentator, so And the acoustics are
Yeah,
terrible,
it's
so I don't
so-
know if they can hear anything.
It's so weird. I just don't understand.
1, 2, 3. Give me a D. D. Give me a I. Give me a C. C. Give me a.
So, but anyway, so we're setting up Wesley Snipes, Monroe, and he's fighting this. Everyone gets that stamp at the beginning, like kind of like, I don't know, like Guy Ritchie, like a Guy Ritchie movie or something, where they like give the little stats, and he's fighting some Nazi skinhead murder rapist.
Yeah.
So yay, he's beating that guy up.
We all need to see Nazis and rapists beat up, so I'm good with that.
But the
Punch him in dick.
commentator, it was awesome. Like, he's funny throughout the whole movie, but I'm trying to think. I think I wrote one of his lines down. Big uncoordinated motherfucker.
You gonna shine that ball head up for sure. How in the hell could you be 6'6", 280 and lift quality already? Now, Vern Van Zandt said he got those brand new tattoos just for this occasion. Well, Vern, don't look like the party's gonna last too long for you. This guy is a bum. Big, uncoordinated motherfucker.
Was the Nazi the big uncoordinated motherfucker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
He's
he's talking shit to the Nazi while he's hyping up Monroe, even though later he's like, I'm a neutral corner or whatever, neutral commentator, which he is in the last fight for the most part, but he's really funny. I hope he had a career.
Yeah, he was funny.
But okay, so the style is starting to show itself. The sounds in the fights are ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, it's like if you wrapped some plywood in rags and you hit the side of some corrugated metal or an old dumpster that's halfway full.
Maybe if you had like an old thick leather boxing glove and you punched a cow.
Yeah, the
Like,
sound.
it would make that
The
smack.
sound they're all the same all the time, no matter what body part is being hit in this boxing match. And it's a clap. The Itman is kind of like that, where it's like a clapping sound. I was like, that's not what it sounds like when you kick somebody in the chest. But okay, but the sounds are just like the Foley operator was just phoning it in the whole time. They're just, I'm going to do this one smacking sound and we'll just play it on repeat for all of the punches.
And yeah, so we find out that Monroe is not an athlete. He's a gladiator.
No, it's not Monroe.
Someone said that shit.
No, that was Ving Rhames who said that.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
It's like, I'm not an athlete, I'm a gladiator.
No, because let's back up. So we need to introduce some characters. We meet Chewie, who's kind of the narrator.
For no reason.
Yeah, he was like in the Mexican mafia. Now he's in taking care of this old monster named Medi Ripstein, played by Peter Falk, who was Columbo.
He's a cartoon.
He is hilarious. He's the type of guy. I'm surprised he didn't say this. He has a long string of F-bombs later, but he's the type of guy who would call the IRS a bunch of cocksuckers. So he loves the sport of boxing. And that's how he talks the whole time. I was like, is that how Peter Falk really sounded?
It's actually worse than that.
Or is he just playing a character who talks like this and
It's
these fucking guys?
That, and he's old, so he's like chewing on all of his words, and it's mumbly, and you can't.
Motherfucker. Yeah, like it's Peter Falk, because I knew he sounded familiar, he looked familiar, and it's freaking Columbo. So he's this old guy, this old mobster who's doing his time in prison, and he loves boxing. And then that's when we meet the Gladiator, the other main character, George the Iceman Chambers, played by Ving Rhames. So why don't you tell us about him?
So the prison, the word gets around that Iceman's coming in tomorrow. Yeah. And then we get in between shots of him being flown in by a helicopter.
By himself, just handcuffed in a helicopter.
Which apparently later he mentions he paid for that.
Why would you pay for that?
Why? That's so stupid.
Maybe he didn't
and
want to
why
sit
would they commit to that?
Maybe he didn't want to sit on a long bus ride.
But why would they let him pay for that?
Rich people get away with a lot of things. OJ.
That's still weird. So, but we get this interview of him, and it looks like it's Access something Hollywood or some weirdness like that, and they're just talking to him through a screen because he's in another prison waiting to get transferred, and they're basically, we find out he's been accused of rape, and he doesn't care for that. In fact, on multiple occasions, he says, I ain't no bitch-ass rapist.
Punk-ass rapist. Which they are punk-asses, but...
Yeah, you get the feeling that this is the kind of guy that thinks... what I would assume, if he had to explain it, he'd be like, only pussies rape, basically.
Yeah,
he's
or
like,
I mean, he kind of implies, like, do I look like the type of guy who needs to rape? Which is, like, offensive on certain levels, but also you just have to take it as the character that this guy's an asshole. He's definitely not, okay, and let's talk about the difference.
Yeah, he is not the same character. They have the same name. It's supposed to be the same guy. His name is George Iceman
Chambers.
Mm-hmm. And in the second one, it's Michael J. White playing the same character. These aren't the same person at all.
No.
Like, for some reason, Michael J. White seems more business savvy and
he's
more
very,
like...
Yeah, he's in a suit. He's very much into the business side of
he's more
boxing.
like he controls himself. Like, and of course, in that one, he still picks fights, but he's like in a Russian prison and he was set up.
Yeah, in this one, we do get to hear the rich, velvety baritone of Ving Rhames calling people motherfucker, which is a delight in and of itself.
Yeah, in fact, he gets mad and he calls his interviewer judgmental motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there's the Ving Rhames we all know and love. Because what I was afraid of was that he was going to be like this nice, misaligned character, but no, he's an asshole. He's an asshole.
But the whole movie is like playing it like he's building up to be. He's supposed to be the protagonist.
Yeah,
like.
Yeah.
And if anything, Monroe is the protagonist. I know we see him first, but he's the one, he's already, you think, especially because we watched the second one first, he's like the Boyka stand-in. That's...
Ving Rhames?
No. Monroe.
Oh, Monroe, yeah.
You think, like, he's the champ at the prison, so he's Boyka, basically.
Monroe has been undefeated, and shall we say undisputed, at the prison for the last 10 years.
He's got like 68 wins or
something like
some
that.
Ridiculous number.
So he's the champ inside the prison, and that's something. It's like I don't like when movies give me tons of exposition and they tell me how to think, but it is kind of frustrating when I don't know who to root for. And you know, in real life, it's not like everybody's a distinct good guy or bad guy.
If it was
We're all
done
kind of
right, you could have done that.
I just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it ended up being that. It was a moot point. So, but anyway, he gets accused of rape right when he's getting, like, his big shot. Well, he's not his big shot. He's already the champion.
But he was going to have, like, a $300 million fight.
A $300 million fight.
Mayweather doesn't even get that money.
In year, like, 1999 or 2000. Like,
who cares?
What? Bullshit. He was going to get...
That's some Jeff Bezos dick spaceship money.
Yeah. So, right when he's at the top of the game and he's about to do all this with his chicken legs, he gets... I'm sorry, Ving Rhames' a big scary dude and he could tear me in half, but he's got chicken legs.
He does have chicken legs.
Especially his calves. But, so he's flying in and you get the scene. He talks to the warden and the warden's like, we have certain levels of esteem here. We know you're rich and famous, but we expect things, whatever.
Yeah.
Boring bullshit. And we get another scene with Monroe. Someone's talking to him, and nothing really spectacular from any of it.
He meets his roommate Mingo Pace.
Mingo was cool.
I wish they'd given him more to do. So this was funny. So he makes friends with Mingo, and he's like, look, man, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want anybody bothering me. And what happens immediately after that?
So Mingo is basically his bodyguard of conversation. He's like,
yeah,
don't let anybody talk to me. You're the only one. First thing that happens, I watch a lot of boxing.
Yeah, Peter Falk hobbles
up. He walks around the corner as soon as nobody talks to me. I watch a lot of boxing. Like,
yeah, you're the Iceman.
Mingo dropped the ball first thing.
First thing, Mingo, you're fired.
And so you're like, you're the champion. You've been the champion for a few years. You don't fight like you used to. He just does.
So he wants him to fight Monroe. Because he loves a good boxing match.
He's like, yeah, you're turning into a bitch, and Monroe's a champion here. And like, well, whatever this
champion
this voice is.
I don't know. I've never seen the show Columbo, so.
So we move on. It's like the first day of life in prison, and the first thing that this is the one similar thing. The first thing that Chambers does, Iceman, is he goes and finds Monroe and has a conversation with him, and then bitch slaps him right in the middle of it.
Yeah, he just slaps him. He's in line in the cafeteria, and he just slaps him.
They almost start a fight. Like, he comes up, smiling and shit, and he's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Bitch slaps him. And that's something that I guess Iceman in the second one would have done too, because he did throw that drink in Boyka's face.
Oh, at Boyka? Yeah, it seemed like in this one, Iceman is much more jolly about starting scraps in prison.
Oh, yeah.
He loves to fight people. He's a dick.
He goes out of his way to... At one point in the movie, I literally wrote, beats up everything. He just beats everything up.
Yeah. Let's see. So I have a note in here that maybe this is a first-time director, because you see the style of the movie. It's every scene change, you hear kind of the sound of a camera flash, and you see it. And in my mind, that kind of denotes, like, is that going to be a flashback? Is that going to be... But it's not. It's just scene change. Like how in the Star Wars movies, it's always, like, the center wipe or something.
Yeah, and then the flashbacks are always in, like, a black and white type
which is
look.
Okay. I don't know.
But then sometimes they even do it when it's not a flashback. So it's a little confusing.
Like when they're training, it's black and white for some reason.
And he always has the stamp of what people did to get there.
Yeah, that's
which
the
is
thing.
funny because it comes up in another conversation. But before we move on, then because he's bitch slapped Monroe gets stuck in solitary.
Yeah, so he gets punished.
Which they built for him. Like
every time there's a scene where they go, like Rooker goes and visits Monroe in solitary, there's always some dude down there welding a door.
Yeah, they're building another
They're
solitary.
always building solitary chambers or something.
But only after Monroe gets sent down there.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden they got the funding to build it or something.
So that happens, and then Iceman, he's out in the yard, he's hanging out with Mingo, and he's like, hey man, how'd you get in here? And Mingo, the first thing he says is like, man, that's not really how you act in prison. You don't ask people why they're in prison. And I just think that's really funny because every single character, as soon as they pop up on screen, the director's like, say exactly why.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny as hell.
It is funny.
So then Ratbag appears. Ratbag, which is a terrible name.
Who's in for arson because they tell us immediately after they said it's not polite to ask that.
And of course he's in there for arson because he looks like
looks like a squirrely type of arsonist.
He's talking shit. He's like, hey, Monroe, kick your ass. He's on meth. And so right after, this is how the conversation goes. Why are you in here, Mingo? Man, don't ask people why they're in prison. Ratbag appears, talks shit. Ving Rhames looks at Ratbag and says, why are you in here, Ratbag? And Ratbag's like, man, I command some arson, some this and that. And he's like, oh yeah, all right. And he starts kind of having a chummy conversation. He's like, hey man, don't run away. Come here, man, hit me. Just hit me one time.
This is Ving Rhames saying this.
Yeah, and he's just being a dick, but he's cool about it. He's like, come on, it'll make your day, make you feel real good. Just hit me. And he's like, oh man, I don't like violence, but all right, if I hit you, will you leave me alone? He's like, yeah, man, go. Come on. And he hits him, and he's like, yeah, man, you feel real good about that? And he's like, yeah, I feel pretty good.
I hit the champ.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I hit the champ. Yeah. And then Ving Rhames just punches the shit out of him.
Hits him in the stomach and knocks him back into a crowd of guys.
And he's just like, get that motherfucker out of here.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they'll have conversations with his manager or a news reporter or something, and in one of them, I think the lawyer or the manager is like trying to say like, you might as well do this fight, and then he says something that's complete bullshit. He's like, well, you're 35 years old, you're not getting any older. Like, bullshit. Ving Rhames has been 50 since he was born.
Yeah, he's just got
he
one
looks
of those...
good, but he has one of those faces. He did not look 35.
I mean, he's not as bad as somebody like, no offense, but Danny Trejo, who's been the same age forever.
Oh, he's been like 75 forever.
But he's not like that. But I mean, you could say it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like when you're 35, it's a bitch. But when you're in your 70s, it's cool.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Okay, so anyway, meanwhile, Chewie is talking to the mob guys, and they're trying to keep Mr. Ripstein, Peter Falk, happy because Monroe kind of goes back and forth, like he doesn't want to fight, and Ving Rhames doesn't want to fight.
And I don't understand why they... It just seems strange to me that an Italian mob paid this Mexican kid to watch out for their old dude in prison.
Why?
Because it's the Italian mob.
Because, yeah, and they're kind of racist. So,
like,
maybe they just knew maybe he proved his trust to
I
them
would like
somehow.
to have gotten a reason that they're so... Maybe it's... they're both fans of boxing. That's all it takes. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, yeah, so he... old Ripstein starts typing up, "This is gonna be the rules of the fight." With his 2 chicken pecking fingers.
On a typewriter, yeah.
Let's give it 10 seconds.
Oh.
Sorry, pausing, because our video is being strange. Don't want to deal with this again.
No, it's okay. We just may look a little spazzy sometimes, more than usual.
Wait until that Knock Knock video comes out.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
God.
Knock Knock video will be funny. And if you're listening to the podcast, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got the good one.
You can just listen to it.
Anyway, so they visit Monroe in solitude. We find out he's building a toothpick Japanese pagoda.
Mm-hmm. It's like 3 feet tall.
It looks awesome.
Toothpicks and Elmer's glue.
But I'm confused why.
Here's what I'd do if I had Elmer's glue in solitary. I'd put it on my hands and I'd let it dry and then I'd peel it off because that's so satisfying.
I don't understand that.
It's very satisfying.
So they're having their meetings. They talk to the people on the outside. They cut Monroe a deal. Monroe goes and talks to him once he finally gets out of solitary. He's like, "Look, give me 40% and I'll do it. And because I got a sister on the outside. She's got 3 kids. I want to help take care of her." So everything so far is leading up to Monroe being the protagonist, but they don't give him the same amount of time as Iceman, which is weird.
No, and also we find out why Monroe is in prison through kind of a sped up black and white flashback, and we had some disagreements about the interpretation of this scene. So
I wrote
here's what you think it is.
He murdered his girlfriend Sancho to death. So I think that he walked in on his girl who was pissed off at him. She was with some other dude, and she's like, "You don't got any business who I fuck." Whatever. It seems strange for him to be walking in so calmly, come to talk to his... if it was his ex-girlfriend, I would find that strange. That's my point. It just doesn't flow like that to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we disagree on this part, but we'll agree on the next part that's a bunch of bullshit. So what the way it looked to me was like maybe she was an ex, and he came in and he was jealous, and he beat the guy who she was having sex with.
To death.
Yeah, so then we go to the courtroom, and this is a bunch of bullshit. What does the judge say?
Because of your boxing training, your hands are considered deadly weapons.
That's not a thing!
That's not
a thing!
By the way, if you ever meet somebody who does any martial art, don't ask them that.
Don't ask them that.
It's stupid.
And if they tell you that, they're a douchebag.
Oh, it's so annoying.
So, it's not real.
We both did Taekwondo forever, and it's a weird cliche people say, and I've always hated it. I've done this since I was a kid. I never liked hearing that.
My hands are registered as lethal weapons. We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you, I go to jail.
It was so stupid. But, yeah, don't say that. It's not real.
Talk about the phone situation in this movie. Multiple phone situations.
Yeah, it's strange. It's definitely strange. Sorry, technical difficulties a second ago, so this is kind of clipped together. Anyway, yeah, so, there's 2 weird things about the phone situation. One, the old Ripstein, whatever, he has like a cell to himself, but it's more like a living room. And him and Chewie, who is supposed to do all of his, like...
Bidding.
All of his running around type work. They call up the mobsters, and he's telling them what Mr. Ripstein wants. He wants these rules, he wants those rules. And Ripstein is also on the other phone.
It's like when they're in front of the glass and you're talking on the phone to the prisoner. But Ripstein and Chewie both have phones speaking into the same phone that the mob guys are talking to who are visiting him.
Is this a thing?
I don't
think so. They also did... No,
they
also... It's not. It's just strange. It's very confused. So there's those phones, and then there are payphones outside in the yard.
Yeah, in the yard they have multiple payphones set up, and I have never been to a men's prison, either as a prisoner or a worker or anything. So I don't know, maybe that's a thing.
I feel like, okay, one, I don't know how they would save up change to pay for that.
I think they pay collect. I mean, they call collect.
Two, I don't think they would let prisoners make calls that they could call collect.
But that's, yeah, you can though.
But if it was out in the yard, you could do it endlessly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's very well monitored.
Three, I think you could beat a guy to death with one of those phones.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could rip it out and strangle him.
You rip it out and...
Anyway.
But also, I think that's where I was thinking this movie kind of looks like a one-act play. So I did one-act play in high school because I was a theater dork. And when we did one-act play, we had a very low-key set because you only had, I think, 40 minutes and you had to get on and off the stage really quickly. And so there was a unit set that was like a ramp and a pylon and a block or something, and it was always painted gray, and then you could pull on things like chairs or set pieces, and there were always those high schools that had like a full set going on. We always did very minimal sets, and I think this movie looks like a one-act play because it's like, here's some prison bars, and here's a chair, and here's a payphone, and very minimalistic. They're getting every penny they can out of that 15 minutes. I'm kind of surprised the budget was as high as $15 million.
They didn't really have any scenes outside of the prison unless there was a couple of flashbacks. But there's no, like, conversations where they have them outside.
No, they keep having an interview with the woman that the Iceman was accused of raping.
Which they never...
They don't really resolve it. We thought maybe they were just trying to mimic the Mike Tyson rape case from 1992. So
sure did seem a lot like it, and Ving Rhames is not that far off from
except for the voice.
Like, he looks like the type of guy that they would pick to play a Mike Tyson.
Yeah, probably so, except he has that wonderful voice, and Mike Tyson... I'll just leave Mike Tyson alone. So, yeah, Ving Rhames has that lovely voice.
Yeah, I thought that we were going to get flashbacks of how it actually happened.
Yeah,
and we
like,
never do.
What really happened, so we don't know.
Which is why I can't consider this as part of the storyline of the Undisputed movies, because then that means in Undisputed 2, I gotta still remember that this guy might be a rapist.
He's an accused rapist, so I don't want to root for him at all.
Like, he's the good guy in the second one, so I don't like that.
And this is where the movie makes some choices and then drops it. So Columbo, Peter Falk, Mandy Ripstein, wants it to be a bare-knuckle fight.
Yeah, they're like old London rules.
Old London rules back when boxing was boxing and men's were men's and...
he makes these agreements and they're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And then Ving Rhames is, whatever he is, a manager, reads them and he's like, this is stupid, we don't like this, so we don't even know how to fight like this. So he goes and tells Chewie that, and they're all arguing, and they're like, man, people in bare knuckle boxing, they're scared to throw punches. You know how many punches get thrown in those fights? Barely any. Blah, blah, blah. And then he immediately goes, all right, bear fight. Bear fight, we'll do 6-ounce gloves.
Yeah, so they drop the bare knuckle thing.
They do this multiple times. They Antoine, that was a thing that happened.
Antoine the prostitute.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened, and they just didn't come back to.
Antoine the prostitute they gave him a thing, but nothing came of that.
Which I think Ving Rhames called him a pretty bitch or something. You're kind of pretty for a bitch,
yeah,
or something like that.
So one of
I'm surprised he would say.
So meanwhile, we have the white Aryan Nazi skinhead gang. We have the Mexican mafia, and then the Black Panther Nation of Islam guys who all come to hate George the Iceman Chambers because he beats all of them up. Yeah, see, that's why we were like, he'd totally be fine with bare knuckle boxing because he does that for like 4 months. Yeah, he just punches.
The entire time he was bare knuckle boxing.
He gets in trouble all the time because he's punching people.
So that was another. That was another thing when I wrote beats up everything. I meant literally everything. But it was the Black Panthers seeming type of group. Like, they reach out and he just beats the crap out of them immediately.
Yeah.
The big Nazi dude. So anyway, we're getting close to the fight. They nix the no gloves. They throw in the gloves, and there's this really weird lunch scene.
Wait, before we get to that, okay. So before that, for some reason, there's a shower scene. because it's a prison.
The suggestive shower scene.
Ving Rhames waltzes up to Wesley Snipes, big
Just
smile
smile.
on his face, and he just talks shit to him, and he struts away, and the camera stays on him long enough that we see his tiny, tiny ass, and he looks like, I don't want to body shame, Ving Rhames is a handsome guy, but he reminds me of, like, the cartoon Bulldog in Looney Tunes cartoons, where he has big, broad shoulders and a big back, and little bitty waist and little bitty legs. So, not trying to body shame, Ving Rhames, please don't come after me. I love you. But it's like, I didn't need that. That didn't serve any purpose. Like, he worked out because he was going to have one nude scene.
It was kind of like they had, they knew people would be asking, are they just standing in front of each other naked? And like, you ask that just as, like, how awkward is this really?
Yeah, but you assume the actors may have shorts on or something.
Yeah, and then they're like, nope, you were right.
He was naked. He might have had, like, a sock over his dick or something. But, yeah, so there's that. And then we get to the lunch scene. Talk about that.
So we get to the lunch, which it starts out so strange because it's just everyone tapping their cups. Tap, 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 tap. And, which is okay. I don't know why it matters, but then we get the not the warden, but the guy,
the main guard, Rooker.
Yeah, the main guard. He's like, oh no, all right, code red, everybody get ready, get in there, get your shotguns,
and SWAT gear and
because people are tapping cups. And I don't understand it. I'm just like,
he thought a riot was gonna break out.
Well, I mean, it kind of does, but it didn't necessarily. The cup thing didn't have anything to do with it.
No, it was just like, the Nazi had something to say.
Yeah, he's like... and he hates Ving Rhames so much that he is rooting for Monroe, who beat him up earlier. So I think it's like, he hates black people, but he's willing to respect the one that already beat him up.
I guess so. I don't know how Nazi thinking works.
He starts his speech with, man, before you got here, we thought you were some kind of dude. And then we found out you were an asshole.
You were some kind of dude. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means. You're some kind of dude, man.
Like, some kind of dude, and then you're not.
Like, it would make more sense if it was somebody like Ratbag. I could picture him just being so high that he doesn't know what he's saying.
It's the meth talking.
But, yeah, so he was some kind of dude until he wasn't, and then Ving Rhames is basically like, fuck you, and then they all fight.
I know, I was wondering the whole time, like, why does the Nazi have the floor? Don't we already all hate this guy?
Like,
big uncoordinated motherfucker.
You gotta be the most hated dude in here, and everybody's just like, yeah, let him talk.
Then a food fight basically breaks out, and for some reason, the SWAT gear cops shoots the ceiling light with his shotgun.
Like, yeah, like, that's totally legal to just...
Tons of shrapnel that could injure people. So, okay. Oh, and this is the best part. Okay, so the warden is kind of aware. He's always kept it hush-hush. He's aware that these fights go on and people on the inside and the outside bet on them.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just like, he doesn't want the spotlight because we have this famous boxing celebrity who's in prison. And he's just like, look,
shut it down.
Shut it down. I don't want any part of this. I'm just going to go on vacation and I don't want this taken care of. And then Peter Falk gets his big speech, shall we say? And he just... Jesus fucking Christ, these motherfuckers fucking won't let me do nothing fucking shit. I could be in fucking Palm Springs, but the IRS put me here for fucking tax evasion and my wife got fucking asthma. And it's like 20 fucks in 3 sentences.
It's infinity fucks.
It's infinity fucks. It's so funny.
And it finishes with that, my wife has asthma.
She has fucking asthma.
He canceled the fight. Jesus fucking Christ, this fucking state. Who the fuck does this fucking warden fucker think he is? Doesn't anybody know how to do business in this fucking state? My fucking wife and her fucking asthma and allergies. We ought to move to the fucking desert. Goddamn fucking chicken shit doctors. I should have known better than listen to those shitheels. Fucking Palm Springs. Lay there in the fucking sun and do nothing, then this fucking state grabs my ass for taxes. Why the fuck I didn't stay in fucking Florida where people know how to do fucking business? Fucking wife and her fucking asthma.
I just have like fucking Palm Springs written down, so
Like, we couldn't understand half of what he said.
And I was kind of disappointed because again, he sounds like the kind of guy to call the IRS a bunch of cocksuckers, and he never does.
But
so fuck this and fuck that though.
But he's so mad he invites the warden to a conversation.
A conversation.
So he meets up in the dark of night. Like, there's one spotlight on the cage where they have the fights, and Peter Falk is just sitting in there.
Like Hannibal Lecter when he's sitting in the cage.
And the warden walks in and is like, basically like, I'm doing this out of respect or something, hurry up. I don't know, something like that. And Peter Falk like, I want to tell you a story.
Can I tell you a story? One of my favorites is about how things get done.
I can't do his voice very good.
You gotta kind of hunch over and...
You gotta eat your own mouth.
Yeah.
So he's telling him a story about some casino that a mayor didn't want, and the mayor was like trying to crack down on the casino, and the guy running it was like, look, we'll either pay you a bunch of money or you die. Either way, it's staying open. And the warden's like, oh, well, what happened to him? And he's like, he died.
You tell that mayor that the casino stays open, no question, but that the mayor had a choice. He could choose to be killed, or he could choose to have a great deal of money deposited in his bank account. It was his choice. In either case, the casino stays open.
What happened to the mayor?
He died.
He died. And then the warden turns to the main guard. He's like, can you believe this shit? This man's threatening me. You're gonna let him threaten me? He's like, oh no, warden. I sure don't want to die.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want my car blown up,
Yeah.
so...
You just gonna stand there and let this hoodlum threaten me?
Well, sir, I don't much want my car to blow up.
So the casino stays open.
Yeah,
So the casino stays open.
So the fight's still going on.
Yeah, and then also...
So it's another thing. It's another... I love the scene where he's pissed off and everything.
Oh, God, it was so
But
funny.
it's all these things that happen that don't amount to anything. Like we said with Antoine and the boxing gloves and the mob trying to convince Chewie to rig the fight.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Was the mob wants Ving Rhames' character, the Iceman, to throw the fight, and he was like, "No, Mr. Ripstein wants a straight fight," and they don't do anything with that, which is kind of ironic because Ving Rhames wanted Bruce Willis to throw the fight in Pulp Fiction.
Which they do that in the second one.
They wanted to throw the fight.
They kind of took these two things and mixed them. So, they want Chewie to throw the fight. He refuses to do it because Mr. Ripstein really wants it. He wants a clean fight. And at the same time, the Black Panther sort of group, they're like, look, we got a bunch of Valium. We'll stick it in his drink right before the fight. Not enough to knock him out, but he'll be
They're telling Monroe
woozy.
this.
And Monroe says that I'll break you to pieces if you do that. So
He wants a clean fight, too.
So they took that and they put it in the second one because they drug him in the second one.
They drug Michael J. White?
Yeah.
They
drug
yeah.
him for the first fight. So
Okay.
they rigged the first fight, drugging him with his junkie friend. So they basically took that storyline and used it.
Okay.
Which it actually amounted to something, and that was a good movie. So, who would have thought? But, so yeah, so all of this happens, and we finally get down to the fight.
Just a second. Our video's slowing down again. If you're listening to the podcast, we're just sitting here waiting for my computer, my nearly 10-year-old Mac, to behave. And I don't know, we might as well continue. We're close to the end.
Yeah.
So I think we're almost there. And I have written down London prize rules ? I don't give a shit.
It is London prize rules with boxing gloves, like 6-ounce gloves. So that means there's no rounds unless someone gets knocked down, in which case there's a minute to get back up, and that's technically considered a round. Other than that, there's no ref. There's no, like, biting and kicking and stuff. But other than that, there's, like, no rules. And at this point, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, they have, the commentator is funny. He says something that really funny, like, if I knew I had to go to jail to see a fight like this, I would have committed a crime a long time ago. And he's funny. And then for some reason, they bring the little rap cheerleader guys on again to sing a really slow version of the national anthem, and it sounds like a Christmas carol.
Yeah, halfway through it sounds like a Christmas song.
It sounds like a Christmas carol. I don't know why. But yeah, and there's the final fight scene with Wesley Snipes, who I really haven't gotten to know well enough to be really invested in caring about, and the Iceman, which I love Ving Rhames. He's just an asshole, so I don't care about his character either. And they punch each other, and they have bad sound effects.
They both have 2 knockdowns, and then Ving Rhames doesn't get back up.
Yeah, Monroe knocks the Iceman out, so he knocks out the champ.
There's no, like a normal movie has a certain amount of pace and build up even in the fight itself. Like, they start out kind of slow, and maybe they speed through a little bit of it, and then, you know, they play music, and it makes you feel a certain way, like in a Rocky movie, or in the Undisputed 2, or whatever. And in this, it's just, they just punch each other till one falls down.
Yeah.
They wait a minute, they do it again, 4 times.
That's it. That's fine.
And then, so Ving Rhames' deal was he gets out of prison, so he gets out of prison. Monroe gets his money. Ripstein dies 3 weeks later. So he got the fight he wanted, you know, before he died. And Chewie gets to close out the movie being like, Ving Rhames, Iceman, denied the fight ever happened. He never lost a fight. Which I don't feel like Michael J. White's version of Chambers would have denied it.
Yeah,
I feel like he would be honest about it.
It ends with them watching George Chambers fighting. After he's out of prison, he's fighting to defend his title of heavyweight champion, and this is where it's kind of funny. Ratface is like, oh, he's undisputed, and so the title Undisputed is actually a big joke, because they're like, undisputed, that's a bunch of bullshit.
You
so
hear that, Monroe?
Undisputed.
He's undisputed.
Ha ha ha.
And it pans up, and this was hilarious. So we're sitting there watching it, and Melanie, I think she has a thought, but she's not really looking directly at the TV. But the movie's still going, and it pans up, and Wesley Snipes, Monroe, is sitting there building a Golden Gate Bridge out of toothpicks, and he's wearing like a white fedora or something, and he's got a white shirt on. He looks kind of dapper for a dude in prison. And she just goes, what the fuck?
Yeah, just like, oh, haha, Undisputed, that's the name of the... What is he doing? Yeah, he's
what is he doing?
Happy as a clam with his...
I laughed more at that
toothpicks.
than anything in the whole movie.
You laughed at my reaction more?
Yeah, because it's just, you're talking in the middle of, you cut yourself, what is he doing?
He's
sounded
doing
almost
his toothpick thing.
Because he only does it twice in the movie. And it's not like this... Like, I've seen characters that they're always doing this one thing. Like, he always has a toothpick in his mouth. But it's just these 2 times he builds something with toothpicks. Like, L is constantly building stuff out of...
sweets.
You know, but it's all the time. It's not just, well, I did it twice, so it's my thing. But, call back Death Note again. So yeah, that's Undisputed 1. Don't watch it.
Yeah, it's not like
you could look up the parts with the commentary. That would be funny.
He's funny, and then Peter Falk.
He's awesome.
Getting mad and saying "fuck" about 30 times in 60 seconds is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So
if you've ever been interested in the Undisputed movies at all, go from 2 to 4. That's it. 2 to 4, and that's kind of a contained story anyway. Because 2, Boyka's the villain, and then he becomes the hero, and then
he's the hero again.
Gets to redeem himself from being the hero, I guess.
Yeah, he's the hero again in Undisputed 4. So it's a Scott Adkins vehicle at this point. So yeah, all the Undisputed movies are good. You had another recommendation for prison fights, because I like prison movies and I like fight movies. I didn't really like this one because it was all over the place and it didn't give me enough to care about.
No. So I might have more than one, but I'll start with Brawl in Cell Block 99. It's gratuitous.
So good.
It's grindhouse, and it's awesome.
It's really good.
It's a little, like, even sort of cheap. Like,
well, it's a Grindhouse style.
Yeah, it's specifically done on purpose, and it's amazing. Vince Vaughn is awesome in it, and those fights are cool and aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And neither one of these dudes would have been able to beat him up, I don't think, because he would just snap their arms.
Or
but
drag
it's
them across
so it's got
concrete.
that like gritty prison feel to it. It's like the most prison of prisons that could ever exist in America too. So that's all cool. That's my first one.
Okay.
So what's your...
My recommendation is if you want to see Wesley Snipes actually put some effort into his acting, I would say watch Tu Wong Fu, Love, Julie Newmar. Or, Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. And Wesley Snipes plays Noxema, the drag queen, alongside Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo, because he really he puts as much effort into this movie as he does the Blade movies. So
I'm still surprised he plays a drag queen.
He's amazing as Noxema. Maybe he just needs to be in a dress to actually have some emotion in his character. I don't know.
So, okay, my second one, because prison fights, this one's not as dark. It's very entertaining. It's on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix. Avengement with Scott Adkins. Again, Scott Adkins, who plays Boyka. He's just his regular old British self this time, and he gets sent to prison for doing a job for his brother, and his brother puts a hit out on him, and that's it. You get to see him survive. In this one, whenever he fights everybody, it means something. Ving Rhames just did it as a dick. Like,
he was just a dick, yeah.
No, he didn't have to defend himself from anybody at all. He just hit
He just
everything.
liked to punch people.
In Avengement, he does have to actually defend himself from everything, and it just gets worse as the movie goes on. And
Avengement's good.
It feels very like it could... Is it Guy Ritchie who did Snatch?
Yes.
It feels like that.
So we'll have to do that one as a guilty pleasure fighting movie. This one was not... I don't even know if this one was a hate watch. It was just kind of dull.
Like,
we watched it because we love all the other Undisputed movies, and we just wanted to, complete the set.
It seemed to have promise in the beginning.
Yeah, Ving Rhames, I love him.
If they just went all the way with how ridiculous they were being, like the hip-hop cheerleaders, I was like...
These guys are good. I want to hear more.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing we didn't talk about. Where has all the aggressive rap gone?
Yeah, there was good music in it, though. It was like a aggressive gangster prison rap type of music, and they even somebody worked in the word Undisputed in there.
Yeah, like
so early 2000s rap, it was good stuff.
I don't listen to a lot of rap anyway. I just didn't grow up on it. But I do appreciate how real that era sounds versus now, where it's all about... They all sound the same. Like, it's... Like, which is cool. We made it. Look at all the shit we got.
Yeah.
Cool. But it's not as interesting as, that, like... You kind of want to punch somebody to rap music from the early 2000s.
Listen to it while we spar or something.
So, yeah, those are my... Also, obviously, the actual good Undisputed movies, which we already talked about. Watch all those. Those are awesome.
So, where can you find us? We're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Anchor. And we need more listeners on Anchor, so go and follow us on Anchor. And also on social media, we have Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast on Instagram, and you can follow me at Melanie Gibson Author, also on Instagram.
I'm not on anything.
He's not on Instagram, but sometimes I put pictures of him on our movie Instagram. He doesn't like it.
No. And maybe we might... I don't know. Most of the people watching us seem to follow us on YouTube more than anything else. We might be looking into doing Twitch.
Maybe.
Not a promise.
Yeah. But
look out for that too, I guess, if you are so inclined.
We're going to take over the internets.
Yeah, that. Two assholes watching movies is going to take over the internets.
I mean, worse things could happen.
Or better things.
But yeah, we're just two assholes who love movies, so follow us. We need more friends.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Butter's goodbye.